Last week, I uploaded a video about teams that I feel like have been pretty disappointing so far. And in this video, I'm going to do the opposite. I want to talk about teams that so far have excelled past their expectations for the season. Just like in the last video, I'm going to be going over one team per division. And I'm also going to be talking about these teams based on what my expectations were going into the season. If you enjoy the video, leave it a like and subscribe to the channel because it will help me out a ton. Let's get started. The Winnipeg Jets had a pretty disappointing season last year. They finished with 89 points and were 6th in the Central Division, and their off-season wasn't great either. To start, there were Mark Scheifele's comments during his exit interview.
Obviously I love it here. It's been the only place I know. I obviously think there's a lot of big questions to be asked this off-season. About where the team's going and what's all going to happen, and that'll happen tomorrow. And I'd love to be in Winnipeg, but I also have to see where this is all going and what direction this team's going in, and I guess we'll see this summer.
There were the many trade rumors surrounding Pierre-Luc Dubois and him wanting out of Winnipeg, and Blake Wheeler being stripped of the captaincy. All of these factors made it seem that there were internal conflicts within the team that would affect them going into this season, coupled with the fact that they didn't really improve on their team in free agency. But through 23 games this season, the Winnipeg Jets have been really good. They are currently 2nd in the Central Division with a record of 14-7-1. And they're only 2 points away from the top spot in the division with 2 games in hand over the Stars. A big reason why Winnipeg is having a great season so far is due to the bounce back season Connor Hellebuyck is having. Last year, Connor Hellebuyck was pretty average with a .910 save percentage and a 3 goals allowed average. And for teams that have elite goalies, if the goalie's play regresses to even at an average level, the team suffers. Just look at the Rangers this season with Igor Shesterkin. But this season, Connor Hellebuyck currently has a .931 save percentage and is 3rd in goals saved above expected. Now, whether or not he can keep that up is a different question. With Dave Riddick playing terribly as the backup, the Jets might start to over-rely on Connor Hellebuyck, which could bring his numbers down. But that discussion is irrelevant for the purpose of this video. Apart from Connor Hellebuyck, Josh Morrissey is surprisingly having a really good season. After a career-high 37 points last season, Josh Morrissey has 26 points in 23 games this year, and he is leading the team in points. Mark Scheifele, Blake Wheeler, and Cole Perfetti are also having great seasons as well. Kyle Connor does only have 8 goals in 23 games so far, which puts him on pace for less than 30 on the season, which is less than ideal. And Nikolai Ehlers has only played 2 games this season, but with how well Connor Hellebuyck's been playing, he's able to make up for and hide those struggles. This also means that even with the incredible start they've gotten off to, the Winnipeg Jets could potentially be even better as the season goes on, and I'm interested to see how the rest of the season plays out for them. After a pretty mediocre inaugural season, the Seattle Kraken have been one of the most surprising teams in the league. In 24 games, the Seattle Kraken have an impressive 15-6-3 record, which puts them comfortably in a playoff spot at 2nd in the Pacific Division. Last season, after 24 games, the Seattle Kraken were 9-13-2. That is a 13-point improvement from where they were at this point last year. They made 2 big additions to their team during the offseason, signing Andre Burakovsky and trading for Oliver Bjorkstrand. Burakovsky currently leads the team in points with 25, and Bjorkstrand has provided the production that you'd come to expect from him. Jared McCann has 11 goals and is on pace for 43, and Matty Beniers is having a spectacular rookie season, and Jordan Eberle is also having a great year with 22 points so far. And this is one of the big factors as to why the Seattle Kraken have been successful this season. Their offensive production is a lot better than it was last year. In 2022, the Seattle Kraken averaged 2.6 goals a game, which was the 5th lowest in the league. This season so far, they are averaging 3.67 goals, which is top 5. The offense has been much improved since last season. Apart from the top players I already mentioned, they're also getting solid depth scoring as well. Players such as Brendan Tanev, Daniel Sprong, Yanni Gord, Alex Wenberg, even from the blue line with Vince Dunn and Justin Schwartz having 16 points apiece. But like last season, their goaltending hasn't really been all that great. Philip Grubauer, when he's played, hasn't looked very good, and is making my prediction of him having a bounce back season age terribly. But Martin Jones has been solid enough. While his stats don't really suggest that he's having a great season, he did have a really good stretch of games, and allowing 8 goals in a game is gonna tank your save percentage. But the Seattle Kraken are allowing the 3rd fewest shots of any team in the league so far. so the goaltending isn't really getting put to the test as much. Now the question is whether or not the Kraken can keep this up, and I hope they can. I would love for them to make the playoffs this year, but we're just going to have to wait and see. But as of right now, they have been one of the most surprising teams in the league. From the Metro Division, I'm going to pick the New York Islanders as my surprising team. Now yes, the New Jersey Devils are currently the top team in the entire league, which nobody outside of really optimistic Devils fans would expect. But everyone's been talking about the New Jersey Devils this season, but I want to talk about the New York Islanders because I think they have been a really surprising team this season that not as many people are talking about. Last season for the Islanders was a nightmare. They started on a 13-game road trip in which they went 5-6-2 and also had many players going in and out of COVID protocols. They finished with a record of 37-35-10 for 84 points, putting them in a distant 5th in the Metro Division. And with basically no change to the roster from last season to this season, it looked like the Islanders might have another down year. But through 26 games, the New York Islanders have a 16-10 record and are 3rd in the Metro Division with 32 points. A big part of their success is obviously their goaltending. Ilya Sorokin is playing like a Vezina candidate with a .932 save percentage, a 2.17 goals allowed average in 18 games. And Semyon Varlamov has been an amazing backup with a .922 save percentage and a 2.5 goals allowed average. Varlamov as the backup has played better than some teams as #1 options, and the Islanders also have the 5th best penalty kill in the league. Now this isn't to say that goaltending has been carrying them throughout the season. Matthew Barzal, despite barely scoring goals, is over a point per game, and Brock Nelson is also nearly at a point per game with his team leading 12 goals. The Islanders are also getting a great season out of both Anders Lee and Noah Dobson, and surprisingly Zach Parise, who at 38 years old is playing really well and has 8 goals on the year. With how tough and competitive the Eastern Conference was going to be this year, many people, including myself, predicted that the Islanders would be on the outside looking in. But as of right now, that couldn't be further from the truth. Now that's not to say I think 100% they're making the playoffs. I mean, just look at this playoff race. Nothing's really guaranteed here. But it's been a pleasant surprise to see them in the playoff mix after a third of their season. The final team I want to talk about in this video is the Boston Bruins. The Bruins started the season without Brad Marchand and Charlie McAvoy in their lineup, and were expected to be without those 2 players for a pretty substantial amount of time. And because of that, I got pretty bold with my season predictions. I mean, that thumbnail speaks for itself. But even though most people with a brain thought the Boston Bruins were going to be pretty good this season, I don't think anybody anticipated them being this good. After 23 games, the Boston Bruins have only lost 3 games, and they have yet to lose a single home game this season. Patrice Bergeron, in which is most likely his last season, is playing amazingly. David Krejci, coming back to the team for 1 more year, has also played really well. David Pastrnak started the season playing like a Hart candidate, and Brad Marchand came back to the lineup sooner than expected and immediately had a 3-point game. Charlie McAvoy's been back in the lineup for a while, and he's also been over a point per game. Hampus Lindholm has fit right in with the team after being acquired in last year's trade deadline. Linus Ullmark has the highest save percentage and the lowest goals allowed average of any goalie in the league this season, which is more than making up for Jeremy Swayman, who's having a pretty down year this season. The Bruins are scoring the most goals per game and allowing the least goals against per game, and have the 2nd best penalty kill in the league. They're great offensively, they're great defensively, and they have amazing goaltending. And the fact that they've only lost 3 games this season, and none at home, very much reflects that. The Bruins are the most complete team in the league. And that's the video. If you enjoyed the video, leave it a like, and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more. Let me know in the comments which teams for you have been pleasantly surprising, and thank you for watching.